Basically, to keep it simple, there are a couple of things which were in Nizran during the 3 weeks, more than the 9, not more than, but before the 9 days. 9 days. There are other halachas that we know about, washing clothing and so on and so forth, but in the 3 weeks we're not careful on that. We're careful from a few things specifically. Haircuts we don't take, except for a few exceptions. Let's say someone's shloishim is finished during the 3 weeks, so couldn't take one before, so you'd be allowed to take one during the 3 weeks.
And a bris as well.
Bris, yeah, a bris could take. So there are a few exceptions for taking haircuts. There are a few other halachas which are relevant. I don't know how relevant this halacha is today. It says at the end that tzorach lizor yud zayin b'tamas ha'tespav shorlei l'chichidi, have to go alone. B'dalad choice from the 4th hour till the 9 hours. That's when ketan mariri is loose. Places should almost like that. Shouldn't go bein chabel atzel, between the sun and the rooms out. Shouldn't go between the sun and the shade. So there's different things that it's a time of sakana. It's a time when there's the ketab mariri, a shoylet. That shade is a shoylet, then we'll stay away. So I don't know how much people are makbid on that, but there are certain things that we should be careful on. It ends off with halacha of lo yaku hatalmidim hayom b'heim. Shouldn't hit the talmidim. Lav dafka talmidim, children, anyone shouldn't hit, because mefurish b'medrash tafil b'ritzuy u'gesh zar that they shouldn't even use a whip. I don't know what else you would use. Yeah. The old days they used to talmid. Yeah.
With the ear like this.
Pull the ear, yeah. You shouldn't do anything that's that could in any which way cause harm, because then there's harm might be caused. There's a shaila, and the poskim, if you're allowed to give a light, slap on the wrist, so to say, a light slap, which doesn't really is measured. It doesn't really have the force of a hit, or not. Seems to be achlekes in them. But okay, I don't know how relevant that is either. If you hit the child today, they take the kid away.
No, they take the parents away.
Take the parents away, yeah.
Give the kid custody of the house. Bring your friends over party.
Yeah. So those one things, but people I saw Paiskim talk about when going to the ocean or something like that. You want to go to the ocean, you let it go swimming. You let it go swimming. You let it go to the ocean. So some say, well, it's better stay away from the ocean. So I saw some say that, well, it depends if he's used to going, so it's not a sakana. It's a gdoshu baravim, everybody does it. But if for him, he's not used to doing it, the undercurrents and other things, you stay away from sakana, something which is overly sakana. I guess each person knows what their welcome sakana is. That's not such a clear halacha b'kapanim. Mikra adin, these things are mutter. Whatever is normally done is mutter. You have halacha, which is a little complex, which is complex, is not so clear, is buying and wearing new things. Buying new clothing, wearing new clothing, buying new things, and wearing new things. So where does this issue come from? So this issue comes from that you don't say, the halacha is you don't say a shechianu. Toiv, the Lashon Mechab is Toiv Lizar, B'loim Shechianu Beina Mitzarim, Al Priya or Malbush. Al Priya Ben Oimer, you could say on the mitzvah, V'lo Yach was a mitzvah, and then it says, V'chein B'pri Shlo Yimtza Acha Tespa Mutal Levarach Lech Ben Mitzarim. The fruit you can't find after Tisha B'Av will be out of won't be in the market anymore that you could buy and make a shachianu. So you're careful not to make a shachianu. So that's where it comes to, not to make a shachianu. Now, many of us don't make shachianus in a lot of the clothing that we buy, depending on what it is. But many of us don't make shachianus anyways. So technically it should be mutter. The whole problem is making shachianu. It goes so far, Moshe has a tshuva, that buying a new car, he says, are you allowed to buy a new car? So he says, during the 3 weeks, he says, well, if you're going to make a shachianu on it, then for sure it's aser. It's a new car, you're going to make a shachianu. He says, but if you have a wife and children, where then you don't make a bracha shachianu on it, you make a toiv ha'meitiv, right? Something which is, other people are nene from, you make a toiv ha'meitiv, so then you could buy one. He says, but if you're buying something for your business, he says, like a truck. He says, people buy cars for business today, you have just a car you need for the business. So then perhaps if it's tzorich ha'panasa, that's mutter, you're not buying it for leisure, you're buying it for panasa. Then perhaps it's mutter to buy. That's what he writes there. But it's a very interesting tshuva, because even though you're buying a car, and it brings a tremendous amount of simcha, you have a new car. BMW, I don't know what they have. So you got a new one, you're all excited about it. So, well, it depends. If you're buying for yourself, just you, then shachianu, you can't buy it. If you're buying it for everybody, make a toiv ha'meitiv, he says you could. It's a little funny, because the other things he writes not to. Other new things, so Charles, a binyan shal simcha is really only also during the 9 days. It's not also necessarily in the 3 weeks.
What do you mean simcha?
Something which gives you joy, you build your...
There's a loss, you have to do it.
Rosh Chodesh Aratanis, Mat bin shal simcha. Bin shal tzivakir, Bornik, there's different things you build. But, Noigel HaHachmash is nice and beautiful.
Building a house doesn't need the simcha?
Yeah, could be. That's why you're building it.
Like redecorating the house.
Redecorating, building out, making it bigger,
Well, if you lose money because they're not going to work, aren't you allowed to have them work?
Shilas, but the etzem zach is also, you don't build after that.
It's just for the car, they make a distinction if you lease it or it's a car loan, so basically the bank, you have to, when you own it, there's paying cash, there's leasing, there's...
I understand, leasing you don't really own it.
In the bank, even if you have full loan...
If you're leasing, you don't really own.
Even a house you don't even own.
You own it, just they own it also. They take it away from you. Yeah, these are shilos, but in case a guy's lease is up, his lease comes up, and the first time the child's wife did it, but the second, third, fourth time, his lease is up during that time, and he needs a car, he has to get around. So anything which is mamash tzorich for the person's living, he could do, But that's lagar from tzorich hapanasa. But it's strange, because other poskim seem to say, we don't buy things that's large, something which brings simcha. We try to avoid, but ikar adin, there's really no isser. The isser is always something that brings to a shachiyan. Now, I could say today we don't really make a shachianu on a lot of things, but nonetheless, something which technically in the halacha you could make a shachianu on, even if you're not going to make a shachianu, perhaps you shouldn't buy that either. Or wear it. Today we make a shachianu when you wear it, that's why wearing new clothing is the issue. It's not a problem wearing new clothing mitzad hatzmai. The issue is mitzad the shachianu. So if you wear clothing that halacha possibly can make a shachianu on, you buy a hat or shoes, these things you don't make shachianu on. But a shirt is questionable. Nobody today makes a shachianu on a shirt.
What about if somebody buys a new suit?
New suit, people still make shachianus on. Some people don't, some people do, but that's already something which should wear
Depend on money
during the 3
or
weeks.
What if you buy a shirt for $800? Is it the shirt you don't make, or is it the money that
You make a shachianu on that.
So it goes by money.
Yeah. It's a hush of a thing.
When your wife finds out you spend $800 on
Make sure you
a
don't spill
shirt.
the grape juice on that shirt.
Make sure you don't wear that shirt.
So those are the things. The Gaon says the whole thing is a chumra yisera, and it's all the much less makbid on this. But in Chutzars is already the minhag that we don't buy new things, we don't buy or wear new things during the 3 weeks. Again, if there's a tzorich or something else, so then perhaps it's mutter. Guy told me his kid had bar mitzvah this Shabbos, so they had a new suit. His whole family, so the kid new suit he could wear it. Shabbos maybe he could wear it. How could he wear it? He wakes up now, Erev Shabbos during the 3 weeks. He should have worn it before the 3 weeks, So he says, yeah, okay, but the kid doesn't have another suit. Other suit's ripped. So he right, there's no shiloh, It's not bizarre not to have a suit. His bar mitzvah, But anyways, this is something which is not so clear cut in the Etzem Halacha, but nonetheless, we're noyig to be machber, not to wear new clothing, even to buy things which are which cause it, which would normally make a shachiyama. Okay, I'd like to go into a little bit a shaila. My son's Zayin Gesund is decided to, as a Ben's Modern Park project, to build a small model of the Beis HaMikdash. So you build it all over, you have these small models. You got to learn. It's good learning projects. You have to learn the sizes and this, what everything is. But the question is, are you allowed to? Are you allowed to make a model of the Beis HaMikdash? Now, why would you not allow to make a model of the Beis HaMikdash? Because Allah and Shulchan Aruch over here. So in Kuf Mem, Hilchos Avodah Zarah, Allah says like this. Yeah.
Cold?
Printed, it's going to be a minute. It says you're not allowed to make. Oh, Sibches, the idea. Well, Yasa Bayis Tavnas Heichel. You're not allowed to make a house the size of the Heichel. Tavnas is the same form, I guess, as the Heichel. Shir Gavoy, the same shir, the height, the Orchai and the width, the Rechvai, the length and the width. Chsadra, you can't make a whole Tavnas Ulam. In front of the Beis HaMikdash was an Ulam. So you can't make a whole Chsadra. So you know what that is. Chotzer, you can't make a Chotzer Tavnas Hazara. Shulchan, you can't make a table Tavnas Shulchan. Menorah, you can't make a Menorah Tavnas Menorah. We're going to say you can't make a Menorah that looks like a Menorah with 7 sticks.
How are you going to build one hand-beaten, not a gold? Come on.
Hold on, slow down. We'll say, it doesn't say gold here. You can make 5, 6, or 8. Like our Chanukah Menorahs are 8. Yeah, 7 you can't make. Even other forms of metals, not just gold. If you don't make it without the flowers and the things. It's not 18 tvachim tall. Okay, so that's the halacha. So the halacha says here, you can't make something that looks like the Beis HaMikdash. You can't make a house the same size. You can't make the rooms. You can't make the... Isser in the Torah.
Shabbos, when he talks about the menorah, included or not included?
Oh, so we're going to see in a moment everything. So I saw the Shaila in a few places actually. The Shaila, Moshe has a tshuva on it. And the Chassitzchak has a tshuva on it. I'll go through the Chassitzchak. It's a little more clear here. But he also has a tshuva on it. Whether you can make are you allowed to make from small stones. His shaila was kadei lahavin lahayres, to teach. You make a model based on mikdash to teach. That was the shaila. The shaila is very relevant. We'll see. All the shuls you have menorah in the front. What kind of menorah you can make, you can't make. Okay, we'll see in a minute. But let's just start with this shaila. So, very interesting. So, he writes like this. Now, Pashut, if you ask me, I would have said Pashut that it's mutter because it's not the same size. I mean, it's the Beis HaMikdash, you have to know the size of it. It's 60 amas tall and how wide it was, and the doorways, you have to know the size of everything. And here you're just making a model that's quite small. Scale. But believe it or not, it's on scale maybe. Right? It's quite small. But Mulam the Shalmas Chaim asks it. Shalmas Chaim, I think of Yosef Chaim Zonfeld. He asks it. He asks it. He says you're not allowed to because that's called Tavna Seichel. So he doesn't bring him down here, but he brings down the Gemara. The Gemara says, you see, other things you're not allowed to make. There's other things you're not allowed to make. You're not allowed to make a demus tzura of the things that are in Shemaim. You can't make the sun, the moon. You're not allowed to make a tzura of those either. Those are Isra Avodah Zarah. It's a different Yisrael Isra. The tzura Slavana is the Isra Avodah Zarah. And the Tavnas is actually Machlokes, Rambam, and Ramban, what the Yisrael Isra is. But the Tavnas is it's a design to Mishtamash, which something which the Rebbe Shalom was Mishtamash, and you have in your house the same thing, Your house is the same as the Beis HaMikdash.
What's Tavnis?
Tavnis is
what does it mean? Does it mean the shape or
the shape
or the? Is that what it is?
That's what it means. Yeah. So on the other things, on the sun and the moon, that's clear that you're not going to make a sun the size of the sun. That's not even on the table, as you say. So you're just going to make something that looks like the sun, and it's usher. It's clearly usher. The Gemara says Rabbi Gamliel had the Mustzura Slavana, or Rabbi Gamliel, that he showed to the Edom that came to do Kiddush Slavana. He showed them to ask him, was it over here? Was it like this? Describe it to them. So Gemara says, how you can't do it? You're allowed to make it. Gemara asks, how you allowed to make it? So Gemara says, he did it. So the Gemara asked the question. So he brings the Gemara like this. The Gemara says, So in other words, Abai held it was mutter, because the only thing you're not allowed to make is something which you could make similar. But since you can't make similar to the sun and the moon, so it's not usher at all. And the Gemara says, "Kedatanya lo yasa anam bayis tavnas heichol chsadu tavnas ulam." Gemara says, like we learned in the Brisa, you're not allowed to make the tavnas of the ulam and the heichol of the Beis HaMikdash. Hold on. Chatzu tavnas azar, shulchan tavnas shulchan. But you can make fives. Okay. So Rashi says, so that you could make similar, so that's awesome. So Rashi says over there that it has to be ba'archa v'rachvi mukshir midas pesachar. It has to be exactly the way it was done in the Beis HaMikdash. So,
you're talking the method of building?
No. The size.
Okay.
Size.
When you said exactly.
Exact means exact size. The
Okay,
sheer, size. But the shtana b'mixas, it's mutter. That's what Rashi says. And that's what the Torah says. The Mikdash, you're not allowed to make mamish to gmasam. If you're not mishana ktsas begoyve ba'oyrach, then it's mutter. That's what he seems the psak would sound like from the Shulchan Aruch. But the Rambam says, doesn't bring this down. Doesn't bring down, it has to be the exact size.
So how do you draw circles? How do you do math? How do you just pull every circle with the moon? Right?
For the sun?
Oh, well, you have a white paper, you use the circles.
That's the way they word that.
Math, the printing, whatever, it looks just like the moon.
It looks like the moon.
White circle.
And we can't make bagels. We're at 11.
Yeah, so it's all. That's not us. But if you make something that has a form like a ball, that would be a question. If you make a ball, you're not making a moon. If you're making it as a moon, it would be a problem. Now, in any case,
should one stop children drawing a little, a 6-year-old kid drawing a house with a sun on top of it?
Yeah, so that's drawing. Is not a person can say it's not a question. The question is only if it has. Some say it is a problem.
If you make those models
Yeah.
of the solar system.
Oh, so it says like this. He says, so the first ones to speak about this, believe it or not, is the first ones, but the place could bring down. There's a Chuvas Marik. There's a Marik. Let's go it down here. The Marik says that. Wait a second. Rashi says it has to be the exact same size, but if you look in Tosfos says an achsadra. If you learn Gemara and Eruvin and Sukkah, what's an achsadra? Achsadra is a room that has 3 walls. The one wall is open. It's like a porch that has three walls. Sometimes it has less than 3 walls, but it could have 3 walls. But the 4th wall is pesuach, is open. So the halacha says don't make an achsadra because it's tavnas ulam. It's like an ulam. Now the ulam in Beis Hamikdash had 4 walls. It just had a very big door in the front. Right? Everybody knows how the Beis Hamikdash looked. It's wide. It had 4 walls, and on the 4th wall there was a big door. But it had a wall there. So it's really not exact. It says achsadra, which is 3 walls, and don't make it like the ulam, which has 4 walls. So Tosfos is the kasha. So Tosfos says like this: achsadra and the kim gimel chitzas. Since in the ulam the door was so big and wide, it looked like it only had 3 walls. So even though there were 4 walls in the ulam, but it was such a big door, it looked like 3 walls, so therefore you can't make a 3-walled room. So it would sound like from reading Tosfos that, okay, it doesn't have to be at exact measurements. Here you can't make an achsadra that has 3 walls, because it looks like the ulam, because the ulam, even though it had 4, but only looked like 3, you could get the impression it had like 3 walls, and therefore that's usher. So the Marik says, so on outside it would sound like a machlokes Rashi Tosfos. According to Rashi, it has to be exact measurements, but according to Tosfos, as long as it has the same look, it's usher, even if it doesn't have the same measurements. Then he wants to go ahead and say, even Rashi agrees with that. He says, the difference is like this, because when you build a house, who says you're building a Beis Hamikdash? You're just building a house to live in. Like, if you don't, in what way is it similar to the Beis Hamikdash? So it's not the exact size, so then you could just claim that I happened to build my house, and it happened to be a similar look to the Beis Hamikdash. It was just the style that the guy built, but it wasn't, so unless it's the exact same, then you won't assume that what you're building has anything to do with the Beis Hamikdash. But achsadra, that has a look by itself, so maybe that would be yasser. So in other words, the Marik is coming out that it's not totally in exact measurements, it's totally in what the look is. In other words, if you feel this has a look of a Beis Hamikdash, should be yasser even if it's not the exact measurement.
It says Issa Deraisa.
And it's a deraisa.
The two
Sasaniti, it's a deraisa.
And it's based on
Pasuk in the Torah. You're not allowed to make things that are used for Gevaya. Things that we use in Beis Hamikdash you can't make. So the question over there is the menorah. So you make a menorah. You make a menorah. That's what the case is over here. It is. To make a menorah of hair. So the question there was to make a menorah that had 7 branches, like they had in the Beis Hamikdash. That's not the same height. It's not Yud Ches Tvachim. It's not the same height as in the Beis Hamikdash. So is that mutter and aser? So he's saying, as long as it has the look, it's aser. Even if it's not the same measurements, it's going to be aser. That's the Marik. So according to the Marik, anything that has the look of anything that was used in the Beis Hamikdash would be aser, even if it's not exact measurements that would necessarily be kosher in the Beis Hamikdash. There you go. The Chacham Tzvi in the Chuvas argues on the Marik, and he says he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not true. Rashi, all the Rishonim are clear that it has to be the same size. The same size. Otherwise, it's not. You're not going to be over. And he says Tosfos doesn't mean that. Tosfos doesn't mean it doesn't have a 4th wall. We're just calling it an achsadra. Really, you have to build something that has 4 walls, like the ulam. We're just calling it a chasada with 3 walls. In other words, partially we Tosfos, he's saying that the ulam looks like it has 3 walls, therefore you can't make something with 3 walls. He's switching it around. He says, no, it just means that you're making 4 walls, but it looks like 3 walls because that's what it looks like, but really you're making 4 walls. But in any case, he's saying that it has to have the exact measurements. But there's an important caveat here, and that is, which all the price can bring down, that you have to know what's ma'akiv and what's not ma'akiv. Perhaps the fact that it's 18 tefachim, that's not ma'akiv. So you have to know what is ma'akiv in the menorah and what's not ma'akiv. So something which is ma'akiv, that something which would make it not kosher for the Beis HaMikdash, so that if it's something which would make it not a kosher menorah, so then you can make it. But something that is kosher, you can't make. Now we'll get into the details later. It's very big nafkamina la'alocha. That's the chamtzvi. But many poskim, some go with the chamtzvi, and some say shalmeish, others they say no. The pashtus marik is right. It's mashma. That doesn't have to be exact lahalacha that something will be kosher, as long as it has the look and it has the feel and it's something which is thing. So that would be asur. You're making something which is similar to the Beis HaMikdash. That would be asur. So it's a big machlokes over here. So he says like this.
It's got to be like an 8-branch menorah.
So 8 branch. So that's clear in the Shulchan Aruch. That's mutter, because it says bilvad. It's either 5, 6, or 8 is mutter. He says as long as it's not 7, because that's not the tavnus. That's not the look of the menorah. The look of the menorah was a 7-branch menorah.
That's close.
Yeah, it's close enough, huh? So we'll see. The Shaila Chacham Tzvi talks about is where it was a 7-branch menorah with 8 cups on it. In other words, they wanted to make it look like the Beis HaMikdash menorah, so they made 7 branches, and then they put something on top, they put 8 cups on it. So the question is that mutter or asa? That was the Shaila that he had.
It's not top.
My question.
It's not top.
What?
For example, with the menorah and the Beit HaMikdash, I've heard that there are like 2 opinions. One is like the branches were like triangles.
Triangles or round. But it's not ma'akiv. That's not ma'akiv. That wouldn't be ma'akiv lahalacha. The only thing that's ma'akiv lahalacha are certain things. Metal. If you make it out of wood, the Chashmonai was made out of wood as a shayla. But in halacha, it seems that it's only metal that's a problem. There has to be.
But it was hand beaten,
Yeah.
so there's a huge difference.
That's mixture by zav, but by other metals it didn't have to be.
No, but I could copy anything in gold or silver, so to speak,
Right.
by making, the wax and lost wax technique, and then casting it, and I'd have that without going through all the effort of taking a lump of.
Yeah, that's how they made it. There was a mitzvah to make it like that, but we're saying that's still usher to do it different ways. It's still usher.
Why would it be okay if mamish you had the look?
What?
If you made a menorah out of wood,
Right.
which is the wrong material, but you made mamish made the right look.
It sounds like it would be mutter. It's only shamini madchus that's usher. Because that's kosher for the menorah.
And like, if you make it with 7 branches, but like
He says,
strange
the
shapes.
Shach says, "Avol she'ena shel matchas kan shel eitz shari the psula b'mikdash." That's possible. So it has to be the material made. Maybe a lot of these model Beis HaMikdash are not made with the right materials. Have to know what.
I guarantee you the kids aren't getting gold.
No, the Beis HaMikdash is made out of wood.
No, I meant the kids aren't making their models out of gold.
Yeah.
The piece on top, you said, to put that's not part of the menorah. The menorah is.
Oh, we'll get to that. We're gonna get to this question in a moment. I just want to finish what he says. We're gonna get to the Chapsi Shiloh. If it's 7 and you have 8 on top, but there's a big Shiloh in the shuls, and all the shuls, they have menorahs right in the front by the Amud. The old shuls, they used to put menorahs there. Remember?
Yeah.
Menorahs by the thing. So there's big Shilohs. Could you put one that is of 7? You have to put one of 8.
Cut the middle one
Could
out.
you put one of 7? What?
They cut the middle one out. Make 6.
Make
Usually
6.
when you
They make
see-
6.
Yeah, usually when you see it.
Make 6. So that's the Shiloh. The Shiloh is, could you make one of 7? We had one. I remember the old Shtibel used to daven. They had one of 7.
Why shouldn't you be able
The
to?
Shiloh was. There was a whole Shiloh on it. If they could do it, in case.
What's the shiloh? How are you allowed to use it?
Wait. We're gonna get there. Patience. We have to see the whole thing. So he says like this. So this is a question. If it looks like it, but it's not necessarily kosher, is that enough to say it's usher? Well, it has to be the exact size. So the Marik said it's Aser. Cham Tzvi argued. The Chassam Sofer on the Gemara over there says an interesting thing. He says, it says, shouldn't make a biased Tavna Seichel. Don't make a house that looks like a Heichel. You know, it says don't make a menorah that looks like the menorah of the Mikdash. Don't make a house that looks like a Heichel. Don't make a Heichel that looks like the Heichel. So he says, even a house that has many different rooms, must say, even if you have a house with many different rooms in it, okay, so it doesn't look like the Beis HaMikdash. It looks like your house on wherever you live. But the room itself, if the room is the size of any of the rooms in a Heichel, that's going to be Yasser. The one room in a house that's the same size can be Yasser.
What about a shul?
So he's wait. So that's what he says. Rashi says it has to be exact size. He says Eidachanami. If you build something that looks like the Heichel, it's Asur even if it's not the exact size. But if you're in a house which doesn't look like the Beis HaMikdash, but you have one room which is the exact size, even if it doesn't necessarily look like a Beis HaMikdash because it's part of a house, but still it's Asur because it's the same size. So both are true. You have to have either one can make it Asur, either if it's the exact measurement or if it looks like it. That's how he goes. The Kitzer, that's the Machlokes here. So he brings the Shoel Meshav also.
These are on the house. What about a shul? You have these rules.
It's on everything.
It's on the house.
Okay, so Akoponim, what comes out over here is so what do you do with the models? Interesting. He brings then the brings a so find it here. Brings at the end here. Say for Chanukah Sabayis, Hachaver Makil Ashkenazi Mantuva. Earlier. So he writes like this. He writes, the reader shouldn't wonder about the binyan I built. That it's not the exact. He built the model Beis HaMikdash himself. And he says, even though you look at it, it's not the exact same size. That's because he didn't have room in his room to make it longer. So he had to square it off. Sham Ba'aris, because Rabbeinu also he made a binyan of Harabayis. He put it in his house. He says like this, that he brings down the bottom there, Magdam L'Sifra, he writes like this, that if you're learning the Tavnis HaMikdash, and the Mesasik B'Binyan Tavnisai, even though it says don't make it the right amount, if it's not the exact same size, he says it's mutter, therefore, so he used paskening if it's not the exact same size, it's mutter, and therefore if you make a model, it's mutter, because it's not the exact same size. Others say that you don't need to come on to that. I mean, the Pashtus, you're building a bias. It's not a bias. It's not a house. It's a house for a mouse, maybe. But the person can't get in there. So Pashtus, it would be a big chiddush to say it's Aser, even though you're making it, down to scale, so to say. But even if you go like Tosfos said, it doesn't have to be the exact same size. But if you're making something which is a model, perhaps not a bias at all. It's not a bias, not a heichel. It doesn't fit into the whole criteria.
I'm sorry, who says this?
And that would be the svara pshuta that should be mutter. I think when Moshe goes like that, it's pashat that it's mutter. Part of the place can come out that a model you can make, but.
And what does it mean the exact size when we don't know exactly how much is an amount?
We don't know how big a ham is, right?
Good.
Yeah, how are you going to make the exact same size? Question. Yeah.
But proportionally, you can do it still.
Proportionally, but you can't make the exact same. There happens to be another question here. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. But let's go to the menorah a second. So in the menorah, so the question is that it's clear in halacha making something with 7 konim is asif. It makes 7 things is asif. So the question is, what's the main point of the menorah? Is the main point of the menorah the cups that are holding the oil? That's the menorah, or there's the konim is what's asif? So the Chacham Tzvi seems to say, wait a second, who cares if you made 7 konim, but the cups of oil are 8, and that's the main part of the menorah. So that's not a problem at all. It's not the same. It's not kosher for the menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. Now the others that say no, Shalom Aleichem says it's not totally in the cups. What the Poskim Aser is something that has 7 branches. So have 7 branches. That's tavnus of the menorah. So that'll be Aser even if you have 8 cups on top. Especially according to the Marik that's saying it doesn't have to be mamish kosher for the Beis Hamikdash. Something that has the look. So this has the look. 7. Chazal described the look of the menorah as 7 branches. 8 branches is not the look of the menorah. 6 branches is not the look. But 7 branches is the look of the menorah. So therefore, anything that has 7 branches is going to be aser, even though on top it has cups. So I think this is very relevant today, because there's a big shaila in the Poskim. This is a truth from a Braish. It brings down here also a similar shaila. A similar shaila. This guy made a menorah for the shul that had 7 branches. 5 were capped off. 5 were using electric lights. 5 they put electric lights on, and the 2 outer ones they did for lighting. They actually did for lighting the shemen. A lot of shtibuchs they have shemen lit. So they had the 2 outer ones were used for the shemen, and the inner ones were used as electric lights. And they had 7 altogether. So the question was this mutter or was this aser to be used? So it brings the whole sugya. And he gets into this question of the cups. Does it have to be similar to the cups in the Beis Hamikdash? Now he says he would have said that yes, it has to be mamish the same as the Beis Hamikdash, and there each one held a sheer lug, right? Chatzi lug. Had a sheer chatzi lug, it had to have. For sure it had to have a sheer to hold a chatzi lug in order that it should last, the oil should last the whole night. It had to have a half a lug of oil in each cup. So he says, he would say straight off the bat that all our menorahs don't fit into this category and it should be mutter. So he says, well, so why, in all the poskim you don't find this heter. Even in the old days where they didn't have electricity, they lit with candles in the shuls. They lit with candles. So it holds a little candles, a small little cup. It's not big that holds a share of a chatzi lug. So he says, perhaps you could say that maybe that would even be kosher in the Beis Hamikdash, because a candle could last the whole night. Candle, you could have a tall wax candle, even though it wasn't l'chatchila, but perhaps it would be kosher. So perhaps that's why. But he says electric lights, that won't go, that won't fly, and therefore that doesn't even hold. There's no even cup that holds anything. So the electric lights should be mutter. He says, if you go after the cups, if that's the ikar chelik of the menorah, so all the menorahs in the shul shouldn't be a problem, because today they're all electric lights. So that doesn't anyways fit into the criteria of a menorah in the Beis Hamikdash. So perhaps that takes away the whole shaila. That's how he holds halacha l'maisa. He brings down. And I saw others go like that, but l'chayra, very not simple. Because if you go like the Poskim, and Shalom Aleichem and others, that it's all totally in the branches, it's not totally in the cups on top. So I don't care, even if you don't have cups on top, you have electric, but the branches, if there are 7 branches, then that would be awesome. So what he's saying is not so clear cut. According to all the Poskim, I saw in the Side of Yeshurun from Felders, that's how he brings down all machlokes about that. If you could have a 7-branch menorah that's electric, is that an issue? If you ever say there's a shaila on it, this is a shaila the place can deal with. If you could have a 7-branch menorah today in the shuls, which are electric, is the tavnus the fact that it has 7 branches, or is the tavnus the fact that it has or it has to be mamish kosher, so it has to have a cup that holds it in the end.
Everybody knows it's a menorah. Like, the opinion you said earlier about the porch, the 3 walls.
Yeah.
No one's gonna walk by it.
Nobody's gonna think it's the Beis
it looks like the
Hamikdash
Beis Hamikdash. But everyone knows a menorah is a menorah. I don't understand the disparity in those two opinions.
Yeah, you're saying the svara. He says a similar svara to Shalom Eshav. He says that if it's not exact measurements by a house, so a person won't think it's the Beis Hamikdash. He says that by menorah, if you have 7 things, that's already nicker.
I'm saying even if it's 8.
But if you have in your mind the Beis Hamikdash always, so then maybe you see a house, you might think it's.
You can't.
But look, it's because it's so out of your mind that you pass by the house, it doesn't strike a chord. Menorah, it's a
I gotta work
menorah.
on that.
You can't build the size of the room. What if you buy a house? You're
Oh,
not building it. You're buying a house.
So the real question is, this whole Shiloh is very nice if you're the guy that's making it. But the Torah says don't make it. But I didn't make it. It was made already. Now the question is, can I put it up in my shul? Can I put it up in my house? Can I buy such a house? So the emphasis of Pischei Tshuva over here, not Pischei Tshuva, he has here the Mekar Chaim, Mekar Mayim Chaim. So he brings down like this. He brings down Yesh Avar B'zeh. He says when a person makes it himself, he's over on a lav midaraisa. But if someone else makes to him, Yesh L'stapik B'zeh. He has a suffix. What's the shayla? So he brings Rishonim by making avodah zarah, making heavenly things, the sun, the moon, and other things, pictures of persons. So that's also even if someone else makes it to him. So if you hold that's awesome midaraisa, if someone makes it for you, so in a chanami. So
What do you make it? You pay him?
yeah, someone makes it for you would be awesome also.
So if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
hire somebody, it's
Yeah,
not a shliach.
yeah. But the Rosh and the Torah hold that even by these other things, if someone else makes it for you, it's mutter. It's all you can't make it yourself. But if someone else makes it for you, that's mutter. But midrabanan it's also because of the chashad avodah zarah. So in other words, even if you're midaraisa, it's mutter. But midrabanan, you can't have these statues. The old question, can I have a statue of a person or whatever it is, full statue, whatever's considered also, am I allowed to have? So the issue is to make it, not to have it. But if there's a chashad avodah zarah, then you're not allowed to keep it either. So the price going to say the dolls and things like that. It's no chashad avodah zarah today. Not used as avodah zarah. You'll see these baby dolls. But if it's a chashad avodah zarah, then you're not allowed to keep it around. But that's only over there, perhaps. But tavlis bayis heichel, that's not a chashad avodah zarah. Could be that's just it's not covered, to make it. But the issue is only to make it. But mashay chashad avodas kachavim. Menorah shulchan, there's no chashad avodah zarah on a menorah. So pashut that even an issue drabanan you don't have. So big the whole marocha on this. That perhaps that it should be mutter to have it anyways. So he says, it sounds like they're going to Asri. But all the poskim don't seem to bring this as a heter. In other words, you're all discussing whether you're allowed to put it in your shuls. Mm-hmm. They don't bring this as a heter that, well, it's already made. And now the question is just, are you allowed to use it? According to this, there will be no shiloh. Once it's made, good. The question is the blacksmith that made it. Was he allowed to make such a kind of menorah? But once it's made, the question is, it was donated to the shul. Now the question is, could I put it up? According to what he's saying, it should be mutter anyways. So we have another tzad heter here. Huh?
Made in China like everything else.
Made in China, right. Made in China, now I have it here.
So they made it.
Right.
Is that
Yeah, so it was made for him, so that's a shiloh. Am I allowed to keep it? So he's saying for things that have a chashash avodah zarah, so that you're not allowed to keep. But something which doesn't have a chashash avodah zarah, perhaps that should be mutter anyways. So the shiloh doesn't really begin. But the poskim that discuss this question, they don't bring this as a tzad lakula. It seems like for some reason the machma not to have it at all. That's what seems the. So at the end of the day, Halacha l'may, it's not so simple. It's not so simple. People used to avoid making in the shul a seven-branched menorah, but in halacha, even Rav Moshe seems to be mater. Moshe the Tshuva seems to be mater. And he seems to go even if it's 7 branches, but if the cups, it doesn't have the cups, perhaps it should be mutter. He doesn't say halacha l'maisa, but in his Tshuva it's mashma like that he goes with those matirim. But in the Paiskim it seems that they're a little bit more machmer, not to make anything that has the look of something. So a shulchan, a table, unless it's exact same measure. The shulchan and then the Beis Hamikdash had also things that went on top to hold the lechem upon it. But that doesn't have to be. You could just have the shulchan part, the table part, and it could also be aser. But everybody has a table at home. Everybody has a table at home. But if it would be the exact same measurement as the one in the Beis Hamikdash, then perhaps you'd have a problem. Something which is exact same measurement, you might have a problem. But something which is not the exact same measurement, so if it's not, doesn't have the look of the Beis Hamikdash or something in the Beis Hamikdash, then it seems that it's not a shiloh. The whole shiloh would be if it has that look, that unique look, that would be a nissa. Okay. And that's what I seem to be saying. So that's the shiloh. He has another shiloh over here also. The ones that they make, they convey it into the ground, right? It's only metaltalin is also, right? But they, especially electric ones, have to be connected. So some of them are not built in, but some of them are built in. You build it in. So is that a heter also? You build it into the ground. Perhaps that should be a heter. So that gets into a whole shiloh of if something which is made a kli first and then attached afterwards, that it still have a shem kli on it. So it's not so clear that would be a heter. That would be a heter. What?
You see a lot of menorahs in front of shuls.
Oh, built into the walls, right? You have the
Built into
picture.
walls,
You have
or
carved out.
Even on the lawn. On
What?
the lawn they have a menorah. On the lawn.
It's attached.
Oh, on the lawn,
On the lawn,
into the
they have
ground.
a
They have a lawn.
big-
Right. And it has 7?
I don't think so. I think it has 8 or 9. It's a menorah for...
That's a good shiloh. You see, I would think that even if it's built into the ground, it would be asur because it's the tavnus that's asur. Right? Just like if you make it's not you're making the kli. It's you make something which has that look. Good, maybe would it be possible as a kli in the Beis Hamikdash? Maybe it would be possible. But if something that has that look, so that should be a problem. Let's say you have the opposite way. You have 8, but only 7 are lit. So we had 7 and you had 8 cups. That was a shiloh. But let's say you have 8 or more, but only 7 of them have lights on them. So that will come out the opposite way around. He says he wants to say he goes busted the cups. So he says the fact that it has extra branches that doesn't matter. That's just lanoi on the side, but they're not the real branches of the menorah. They're not the real branches. But if you hold that the branches is what makes it look like a menorah, you can argue that if it has 8 branches and only 7 of them being lit, perhaps that should also be asur. The others, those who wanted to be mater, what?
What are you doing on Hanukkah? When you're lighting your menorah?
Hanukkah, you have 8.
You have 8 dishes, but you're only going to light 7.
Oh, you're only lighting 7 then? No, but the 8 are all made to light on. Here you have coming out on the side extra that are not made to light on.
Oh, I see.
Right. But you have, interesting enough, the the ones you make, the leichters that are made for Shabbos, they make it with 8 branches. They don't make with 7. They make with 7. For this reason. They don't make with 7 branches because they're doing it to the Beis Hamikdash. right?
I think you can go with 7. Depends how many kids you have.
No, they make it with 8.
Or they may go with 8.
8 or
Right,
6.
right.
They don't make it 7. You have 7 kids. If you have 5 kids and then 2 parents, then
Yeah.
you got to find another thing to light. Or you cap it. You don't light one of them. Where's what you do? But they make it. No, pretty sure.
Is there a reason given for the assert?
Because it's a bizayon. It's a bizayon for the. You're using the same thing that Hashem uses. You're living in the same kind of house. Who do you think you are? You know, you have the same. You have the same.
So what's the answer for your son?
What?
So what's the answer for your son?
No. So, anyways, you have all these aterim. It's not the right size.
Yeah.
It's l'slamid. You're doing to learn. You're allowed to. You're allowed to do l'slamid. Because I had to. Gamliel was allowed to make the sun and the moons for l'slamid for teaching. And the third heter is that it's not a house at all. Question is if you make the cave, but it's not a house. Who could live in there? It's a small little thing. Then you have to know the materials he's using, anyways. If it's something which would have been kosher for the
Legos.
for the Beis Hamikdash itself, yeah, Legos wouldn't. I don't know, plastic. Yeah, it's good shiloh.
They didn't have Legos?
No.
Well, they built a Beis Hamikdash Hashlishi. If they didn't build, Hashem's going to build it, but yeah, Shalish. But if they build it, they have all kinds of shilohs. You know, do they do electricity in there? Do they do plumbing? Do they have plumbing in there? You know,
Air conditioning,
They have the
heating.
Amas Hamayim that went through. You'd have to know, if it's going to be the same. All the what's kosher and what's not kosher. You know, the dimensions are clear in Cheskel, but the question is these details, what material they use.
But don't we hold that Hashem's going to build a third Beit Hamikdash?
Hashem will build it.
Drawings have nothing to do with this discussion.
Who?
Drawings.
No, drawings. No. This is just to make actual tablets.
So
Yeah,
because it's a
sometimes.
painter by profession, and they paint the sun and the moon, and the landscape.
Yeah, this is something we have to go into. That's another sukkah. If you could paint something that has a depth to it, could be painted. Right, could be painted.
Could be a problem.
It could be a problem. That's why some people make a sun make like a half a sun. You know?
Oh, yeah.
That's why. Yeah.
It's cloudy day.
My type of
Yeah, it's cloudy day. Yeah. Clouds. Those things were chashash chashash by desire, but this is not so much as by desire. It's more it's covered for the
Yeah.
for the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, Akapadim. Sometimes we don't have these things in mind. We're not thinking Beis Hamikdash terms, but maybe we should gear in, have different.
This applies to the
Well,
Kalim also to.
Kalim also, Kalim that were unique for the Beis Hamikdash.
So what about this
Instruments.
this organization that's starting to put together?
Yeah, so this organization that makes the Menorah and makes other things. So the heter they have is that they're going to give it to the Beis Hamikdash. Amnas l'moisel tzibur is mutter. You're going to give it to them, and that would be.
They're not using it now either.
They're making it for the Beis Hamikdash. Amnas to give it over to them. That's a heter. Amnas l'moisel. You're allowed to make for the Beis Hamikdash something, right?